Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world are they ignoring her? At the start of this year's WNBA season, it was announced that Caitlin Clark signed a massive endorsement deal with Nike. This deal was for 8 years, $28 million with a signature sneaker included. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark signature shoes.
Caitlin Clark just scored big, and I'm not talking about on the court. Adidas just handed her a $6 million deal, making her the highest paid female basketball player in endorsements. But you know what's even crazier? Nike had her first and let her slip away. How did this happen? Let's dive into this wild story. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Recall our statement that Nike erred? Adidas, though, was there to seize the opportunity. The shocking part is that they didn't merely seize it. Instead, they carried it all the way to the bank. To what extent are we conversing? To put it mildly, it's enough to leave you speechless. Adidas seized the moment and launched an offensive while Nike was preoccupied with hesitation. They wasted no time in realizing Caitlin Clark's extraordinary potential.
Nike is obviously the biggest brand in athletic apparel, and Caitlin seemed to be a perfect fit for the brand. $28 million at the time, while some people, including myself, were saying that this might be a little bit too low. We also got to see the other offers that were on the table for Caitlin Clark, and as you can see, Under Armour offered her 4 years for $16 million, which by a year-by-year basis, she would actually be making more per year if she had signed with Under Armour, and I feel like looking back in retrospect, that might have been the perfect place for Caitlin, because I feel like Under Armour for sure wouldn't have ignored her this entire season.
What was the outcome? An incredible $6 million bargain. Yes, you read correctly, $6 million. This endorsement agreement is not your typical one. We are discussing the highest paying contract ever reached by a female basketball player. How exciting to write history. Adidas made a statement by signing Clark, not simply a player. Their bold decision to make a significant investment in women's sports was demonstrated to the globe. The entire industry was rocked by this decision. Can you picture Nike's employees' reactions when they learned the news? They're probably kicking themselves at the moment. But let's take a moment to dissect this. Why is this such a big deal? First of all, money isn't the only factor. It concerns what it stands for. We believe in women's basketball, and we believe in Caitlin Clark, is what Adidas is stating. For a very long time, both players and fans have been expecting to see them put their money where their mouth is. Consider the effect that this might have on the sport. Adorable young girls in Adidas clothing watching Clark conquer on the court, that is some strong stuff. Motivating the upcoming generation of athletes is more important than merely making sales of shoes.
Nike put up this huge billboard that's basically like, if you break it, you own it, and this was in Iowa. They had other ads and things that came out, but since then it has been crickets. The thing that is the most surprising about this is, if you guys remember, when Caitlin Clark was playing at Iowa, Nike ran ads about her. When she broke the record for the most points in NCAA scoring history for both the men and the women, I personally don't understand how a brand like Nike, who has had athletes like Serena Williams, like LeBron James, like Michael Jordan, who branched off and made his own brand in itself. However, I will say that Caitlin Clark has created more buzz around the basketball landscape and has actually transformed and revived a league that was the WNBA.
Adidas recently made a strong effort to project itself as the company that really supports women's basketball. Not to be overlooked is Clark herself. She will gain power from this agreement in ways we haven't even begun to comprehend. She is now a brand rather than just a player. A big firm that sees her potential has given her support. With that kind of help, an athlete can become legendary as well as outstanding. Nike made a strong comeback just when you thought they were out of the game. A $28 million 8-year contract seems like a win-win. right? False. The actual issue is what Nike failed to do, and the fans aren't thrilled about it. One would assume that Nike would be smitten with Caitlin Clark. She's shattering records and drawing attention everywhere she goes, really.
Sabrina Ionescu has a shoe with Nike, and it is very similar to like a Kobe or a Kyrie shoe. It's actually, honestly, like it feels like it's a Kyrie shoe. I believe that Caitlin Clark, if they would have released a signature shoe for her this season, they would have made a killing. And there are a lot of men who wear the Sabrinas as well. That is an example where you don't need to take all of this time in developing the greatest first shoe for a player.
The problem is that Nike has been unusually silent. Not one advertisement, not one flashy ad, nothing. It appears as though they signed her and then overlooked her. Let's dissect it. Clark accepted Nike's massive deal, but what happened next? Crickets. Fans became aware of it. On social media, they're wondering, where's Caitlin? Why Nike isn't announcing its new star on the roofs is a question that many have. Wait, things get worse. Clark's signature shoe won't be available from Nike until 2026. 2026! In the athletics world, that is ages away. Fans are furious. Some claim that Clark is being passed over by Nike in favor of other celebrities like Aja Wilson. What's truly generating conversation, you ask? The fact that Nike hardly acknowledged Clark's victory as Rookie of the Year. Many are perplexed as to why Nike isn't profiting from Clark's achievements, but it's more than simply the shoes. Respect is at issue. It all comes down to spotting talent when you see it. Supporters believe that Nike is taking too long, and they are fed up with it. Nike isn't simply absorbing the fire anymore. John Dono, their CEO, made a strong debut. He is about athlete empowerment and creativity. The question is, however, is it too little, too late? Consider it. Adidas swiftly intervened with that enormous contract for Clark, but Nike has been sluggish to respond. They're providing a platform in addition to money. We believe in you, and we're going to prove it to the world, they are stating. You know, there's more at stake in this than simply Nike and Adidas. Could I perhaps tell you that this isn't solely about basketball shoes? The question is, who gets to represent women's sports and why? In addition to creating ripples in the sports world, Caitlin Clark's partnership with Adidas is igniting a firestorm of criticism. Talking is happening, and it's not only about sponsorship deals or points accrued. They are discussing issues of gender, racism, and who should be the face of women's basketball. The issue is that Clark's agreement has created a mess. Some people are curious as to why she may receive a signature shoe before well-known black celebrities such as Aja Wilson. Some are raising serious concerns about sports marketing fairness as a result of it. Consider it. In a sport where black athletes predominate, Clark is a white lady. When it comes to who receives those large endorsement deals, that is not just a coincidental fact. It is a significant one. People are being forced to examine closely how brands select their brand ambassadors. One of the WNBA's top names, Aja Wilson, had some thoughts on this. "Always remember what is delayed is not denied," she tweeted. That is a strong declaration. She appears to be saying, "Hey, I'm still here, and my time will come." This is where things become really fascinating, though. The sports industry is being forced to examine itself very closely by this entire issue. It goes beyond simply seeing who can sell the most shoes or score the most points. It has to do with representation. It has to do with who becomes the sports spokesperson. Companies now understand that they can't simply choose any athlete and plaster their logo on them. They must consider the symbolism of that athlete. It's more than just talent. It's about sincerity and intention. Clark and Adidas's partnership, it goes beyond merely altering the game for her. It's altering the rules for all players. It's forcing brands to reconsider their endorsement strategy. It's causing fans to doubt the advertisements they see. Furthermore, it's causing athletes to question their own value and representation. Now let's discuss how Caitlin Clark's partnership with Adidas is causing a stir. These days, the issue goes beyond basketball shoes. It's about elevating female athletes' status worldwide. Adidas made a statement by signing Clark, not simply a player. They're stating, "We believe in women's sports, and we're putting our money where our mouth is." This transaction could be a significant beginning. Imagine more companies taking the lead and making unprecedented investments in female athletes. It's as though Adidas has just raised the stakes and challenged everyone to do better. The really shocking part, though, is that this agreement may change the way we see sports marketing. Selecting the biggest star is no longer the only consideration. It's about equality, representation, and empowering young ladies to pursue their dreams. Who knows, perhaps when we reflect on this time in the future, we'll remark, that's when everything changed.